request out. It's back, I think. Nope, no audio. They never had audio. It's one of these days. Okay. Yankee does not. You can always try again there, Yankee. There we go. I would wonder, Machine Elf, if you said true. Well, I get you're speaking about a punchline to a joke you didn't quite get through. But a true belief being impossible to question if you know it is true seems, I don't know, like a dishonest way to handle truth. We should be able to question truth. If something is necessarily the case and you know why, then nothing will ever make it false. Does that mean you can't question it? Does that mean you can't entertain possibility? Examine impossibility for some way that it could upend your assumption? Right. You'll only find confirming evidence. So if it is true, then questioning it might should strengthen it. Which is why it's always amusing to see people shy away from questioning something they assume to be true. If it is, then questioning it ought to be a way to, if you are questioning something and only finding confirming evidence, could you be approaching it with bias? Could that bias be providing you with seeming confirmation? which is why I question my method all the time. Because it itself needs strengthening. Hello, girl Gnarly.
Hey, Thrayle.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. Long time no see.
Can you remind us all your age for TikTok TOS?
Of course. 40 as of 227. Ooh. Also, happy 111 a.m. on the East Coast.
Oh, is it that?
Yeah, it's a 111.
So, I already know the answers, but I'm gonna ask. Do you have a belief in a god or gods, higher power, or anything?
Again, atheist in the streets, agnostic in the sheets. So, I've got these things where I just, I'm I'm in between.
What do you think would compel you to believe in a god?
For me, it would be like if a god really, I don't know, came and told me, like, hey, I'm God. And it's like, oh, okay, that's cool, dude. Like, that part is weird. I don't know.
So you don't know what would compel you, even if a god came up to you in the street and said, hey, I'm God.
Well, I mean, like, that would be cool, but I don't. It would be a lot to compel me. You know what I mean?
How do you think you would distinguish something claiming to be God from something that is a god?
Could you say that another way?
How would you tell the difference between a god or a false god?
Oh, I wanted, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, a false prophet or a real prophet, like, I'm not sure.
I do like and I don't know. So assuming that something had compelled you to believe that it was a god, would you worship it just for being a god?
I don't think so. Just because I'm not really into worshiping things. Like, especially if they lean towards, like, a man or something like that. So, maybe that sounds weird, but I don't know.
Does the existence of a god matter to you?
I find it fascinating, but I'm not sure that it's something that I need to rely on.
Do you think
Like,
that it would make any difference in your life if you did find that some God existed?
I think it would, like that would be really cool or something, but I don't know that I need that to be a thing. I'm not sure. I really have no idea if a god was worshipable or whatever, if that was a thing, if that makes sense.
Can you think of what kind of God you would most want to exist?
Okay. Yeah, probably. And I know it's gonna sound silly to some people, but like a woman god, because women give birth, makes sense to me. Um, Otherwise, though, like I really don't believe in anything that has to be a certain way.
So, because women give birth, you would want a God to reflect that biological nature.
Yeah, I mean, if we had to like say something about a god, for me, yeah, a woman god would make sense, but at the same time, like I don't give a shit. Like it's nothing in that way actually matters to me.
What do you think would make the existence of a God matter to you?
I'm not sure. Like possibly um, something like oh, me and my parents, and they all make sense or whatever. Something weird like that. But like, I don't know that that actually matters as well. So I'm throwing that up in the air.
Do you believe in afterlife? And does that matter to you?
Uh, Part of me wants to, and then part of me also thinks it doesn't matter if it doesn't.
You say part of you wants to, part of you thinks it doesn't matter. Is this like a 50-50 split?
Yeah, yep. Like I have no evidence of my existence. Once I'm beyond, and I just don't know.
What kind of existence beyond would you want?
Thrayle, I have no idea. Like, um, like that's where I'm the big questioner in my own mind. Where I don't know. Yeah. Like, I wish I knew, but I have no idea.
Is there anything that you can think of that might make it matter more?
I don't know. I really have no idea. Like, I don't know. And like, as somebody who I've studied philosophy and I've studied religion and stuff like this, like, I just don't know. And like, part of it makes me sad, and part of it makes me like happy.
Part of you's happy to be in the I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think you would do with the knowing?
Well, can you, if you could, like, the knowing of what?
An afterlife or not?
That's a really good question. Because where am I better off? Like,
do you know what I think of that question as?
go ahead, please.
Do you ever see a dog chase a car?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And wonder what it would do if it caught it? It's the dog chasing the car.
I'm going to be a little...
with the knowledge?
I'm going to be a little sad right now. I had a dog chase a car and it got run over. And so, like, it wasn't good. So, I don't even know where to go with that. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to evoke that image, but I think that question is one that is, I don't know, people don't consider what they would do with the knowledge when they find it. What would knowing there is or is not a God change for you? What?
All right. Can we, I'm sorry. I'm going to compose myself right now, and then let's ask it again.
What would you do with the knowledge of a God or an afterlife, or the lack of one, if you knew for a fact the answer? What does that change for you?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm really unsure of what does that do. Like, okay, so me and myself, I don't think there is an afterlife, and I don't think that there's like something going on beyond this thing. So it makes it hard because, like, I'm just like, I just go off into the ether is what I think.
What does off into the ether mean?
Nothingness.
Does that frighten you?
Well, there's a little bit of frightness, but there's also this thing where it's just like, that's okay too, to be nothing. But I also shrug because to be a part of nothingness is like, wow, that's different than anything I've ever known. If that makes sense. I don't know. I'm sorry.
So even the idea of not existing would still, like, rather than frighten you, give you something to
It would be.
experience.
I'm sorry. And could you say what you said again?
It's okay, I was trailing off there. A new experience. The lack of experience.
Yeah. It does something for me where it makes me think like I'm unclear about what that means. It's scary. I think. I'm not sure.
Sounds like you're not even sure about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't know if I have any more questions for you, but
That's
what
all
is
right.
it that you are questioning the most right now?
I'm questioning being. I'm just like really scared right now. So, yeah, like I have a lot of things that as far as like illness goes, I'm like I don't feel good. So like that's why I'm coming out.
So your fear is related to your mortality, related to your health.
Yeah. And I'm sorry.
You're okay.
But it's why I come up here a lot. And a lot of times I come up and I listen and I love your live and every time. So thank you for listening to me.
Absolutely. I appreciate you.
I appreciate
I want to
you
make
too.
sure that you don't leave here feeling alone. Are you? Well, I mean, you have anyone to talk to.
Yes, yeah. I'm in therapy and I have a lot of good friends, and I do love coming into this live. But it's why
And I think
I'm
I saw
like,
you sneak into the Discord a month or
yes,
so back, so
I
you know
tried.
you're always welcome in the voice chat.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm just like, I want to make friends, and I think y'all are cool as hell. So,
Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate where you are in your journey, in your questioning, and
thank you.
I just want you to know that you're not alone. And
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope that you keep asking those questions and keep asking them for a long time.
Thank you mucho.
I really appreciate you. I'm going to move forward, but I just want you to know that you can always find us in the Discord, and you're always welcome back here. And I know Kat is coming up right now to say basically the same thing, but in a much more enthusiastic way.
Well, yeah, Thrayle, I love you and I love Kat, and thank you guys so much. And I'll drop down or somebody drops me down, but thank you guys.
I appreciate you. I really do.
Hey,
There she is, right on cue, with a
I've
Wi-Fi
I've
delay.
been fighting with my phone. Can you hear me yet?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're just slightly delayed.
Oh, okay. I've been fighting with my phone for the last like 5 minutes trying to get the fuck up here. I don't even have comments right now. I don't know where they are. If anytime you need to talk to anybody about anything, my inbox is always open here, Discord, wherever. And like, you are such a like bright face or name to see, and I love listening to you. And you question, and it's great. And Thrayle's a mean skeleton for making you cry.
I didn't mean to. I appreciate you, girl gnarly. I'm gonna go ahead and set you down. But thank you so much for coming up and showing what questioning beliefs can look like.
I love her.
I do too. She's awesome. We've had some really good interviews before too.
I still don't have a chat, so I'm gonna leave and try to figure that out and come back.
Okay. TikTok is being really glitchy today. I had an update on one device, but not on the other. And the one that updated is the one acting up. Of course. I do have a request, one of which I'm pretty sure is a sleep request or a pocket request, and the other one, well, you're welcome to request back. I accidentally cleared them both. But if you've got a belief in a god or gods, higher power, or anything like that, and you're curious enough or courageous enough to question that belief, then go ahead and request up. I'm not here to debate you or argue. I'm not here to tear you down or burgle your gods. I really am here just to see if you can question your beliefs. That's really it. The goal, as people always want to know, is to see if you can. And if you can, well then I might just have a few questions for you. Yeah, it's been a slow start to the evening. And we've had this the last 2 nights. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised. But we will persist, and we'll stay right here, patiently, waiting for someone who's capable of questioning their beliefs. Yeah, I know, Nenora. They just want a dancing skeleton more than anything. I don't know why. But it's what I'm here to provide, apparently. Wiggling bones and questions. Tiny says, why not? Right? Thank you, Cat Witch. Yeah, TikTok really doesn't like it when my bones sit still for too long. They ended my life the other day, just out of nowhere. Keep wiggling my bones. But that's okay. We've got an awesome community making all this music that I can keep wiggling my bones to. Well, we don't have someone to question. Speaking of which, I know there was some more songs in this folder I haven't heard today. Yeah, I forgot about this one. A collaborative effort between Joe Chupacabro and Ketchup. And then if we don't have a guest after that, I think I had another new one from Brad. Oh, I think I broke the music player. That's okay. It'll still do this. that various?
I'm 22 years old.
What year were you born?
2003, July.
Do you have a belief in a God?
He's Muslim. I don't exactly.
What do you mean, this?
I mean, questioning my beliefs.
What seems like you don't believe?
To be honest with you, no, not particularly. I was raised Muslim. I don't particularly believe in Islam.
So why don't you believe in a God?
I've got multiple reasons. The first one, I feel like it's illogical. Does that make sense?
That it is illogical to believe in a God?
Yes.
Why?
I don't think so. A couple aspects of Islam, when I really think about them, I don't believe that they determine a person's morality entirely, right?
So are you just saying that the Islamic God or belief in Islam is illogical?
No, I believe that a majority of monotheistic gods, or the belief in monotheistic gods, is illogical. I'm not religious at all in my current state. I believe in science. I don't think that, as you know, with monotheistic religions like Judaism, Christianity, or Islam, I don't think believing that, a man loving a man or a woman loving a woman is determinate of inherent sin.
What does that have to do with the existence of a God?
I feel like those three are the most prominent and prevalent relations of the God.
Can any other kind of God exist? Something that hasn't written a doctrine about where you put the things in your pants?
Yeah, they may.
In what way do you question that?
I believe in science. That's all.
When you say you believe in science, what does that mean?
I believe in evolution, the Big Bang. I believe in the existence of an eternally expanding universe. And I've not seen a religion that could support that. I'm a very scientific person.
So, if to coincide with evolution and the Big Bang, would you then accept that religion?
Not necessarily. I'd have to see what else it. Especially in terms of morality.
Convince you?
I think for me, it would take a God straight up walking up to me and saying, hey, this is real. Whoever you love is okay. Science is real, but I exist.
Something or someone walked up to you and said, you're okay, this is okay, science is real, but I exist, then you would believe that was God.
To an extent, I'd have to question them on a lot of things. I'd honestly have to ask them about personal experiences so that I know they are all knowing.
Do you feel that you could be compelled through conversation that someone is God?
If I asked them things that only I knew as a fact of my own personal existence, then yes. Besides that, no, I don't think there's anything that could really convince me.
And if this entity or being or person was able to convey things about your personal existence, then you would believe they were God. Would you worship them?
It depends the extent of worship.
What do you think it would take for you to worship a God?
Someone who knows the deepest, darkest secrets that I have personally experienced and nobody else could know. And they say that to me.
And just knowing your secrets would be enough to be worthy of worship?
Yeah, just about. Because all I can verify is my secrets, right? I can't verify anybody else's secrets.
How would that show that they are worthy of worship?
Because they prove they're omniscient. If they prove they know what I've personally seen and experienced, and they tell me straight up what I've seen in my own personal life, then yeah.
And so being able to tell you what you've experienced, that would tell you that they are omniscient, not that they were good at guessing.
My own deep, dark secrets, yes, because they're not able to be guessed. No physical footprint of it. It would take that.
And so just knowing your deep secrets would be enough for you to think it is a God.
Well, knowing the secrets I haven't shared with anybody, and there are plenty.
It feels like your test for what is a God could potentially be passed by a human with enough resources.
Maybe, but I haven't told any human. No, I haven't told any human a lot of things about it. That's the thing. I'm very anti-theological. I don't believe in a God. That's why I'm saying it.
But I'm wondering what it is that actually would compel you to believe. And it sounds like you might be capable of being convinced based upon simple cold reading methods. If somebody was able to be, I don't know, compelling enough as a performing psychic.
Yeah, maybe, but I haven't met a performing psychic who is strong enough to predict that. So if I meet someone who can tell me all of my deepest, darkest secrets, they're a God, I'll worship them. But there's nobody who can do that.
Do you believe there are psychics?
Maybe they're psychics.
That psychics exist.
I believe that there are people who are more spiritually in touch.
What does spiritually in touch mean?
Maybe they know they can predict it, but I don't think there's anybody who could predict my secrets. That's what it means.
Maybe they know, maybe. Okay, I feel like there's a whole corridor of questioning here, but I'm going to let Everlasting jump in. Go ahead, Everlasting.
Yeah, I was about to say that opened up a whole nother can of worms, didn't it? I was just going to ask real quick, what if somebody just like had a lucky guess?
How
Like,
lucky are we talking?
It just like arbitrarily threw something at you for no good reason, and you identified that as one of your deepest secrets that you've never told anybody. Would you then be compelled to think that this person is a deity or divine in any way?
No, they'd have to be lucky as fuck to predict it.
I mean, yeah, it would be. It would be an off chance, but I'm just wondering if that's your criteria for determining what's divine. You recognize that that's a possibility, though.
Yeah, it absolutely is a possibility, but what is the percentage chance of you predicting one of my secrets right and then asking about it and I answer it correctly repeatedly and repeatedly regarding all of my deepest secrets? What are the chances of that?
Well, low, I'm sure, but the thing I was proposing was just like, because it seemed like what you were saying, and I don't know, I just jumped in like toward the middle of this conversation or whatever, but it seemed like you were just indicating that like if somebody could tell you one of your deepest secrets, then you might be compelled to believe there's something divine there, and so that's what made me think like somebody could just guess because how unique do you think those secrets are?
Mine, I would say they're pretty unique, but as an individual, person speaking, I may think they're unique and realistically they're not. The issue is I would want verification that certain realistic deeds that are going to happen between two humans are not going to be a sin. And that's where I think religion falls apart. For example, for me, I don't think homosexuality is a thing. A man loving a man or a woman loving a woman or a non-binary person loving a non-binary person is a sin. Because I just think that's morally corrupt. It is not in the harm of any other human
What is
being.
sin?
So I don't think it's a sin.
What is sin?
Harming another person. That's what I think it is.
Sorry, I think you're misunderstanding. I'm asking what the word sin means.
I don't have the actual definition of that, I'll be honest with you.
So then, why would you use the word then?
Because it's a commonly used word in theological beliefs.
Right, but you have said that you're against God belief.
I'm against the belief that a God can punish somebody for normal human behavior. That's what I'm against.
Interesting.
I don't view certain
I
acts
have more
as
questions,
sins.
but before I ask my questions, I do need to really quickly make sure that I thank Dash and KD, also Tricera Bear and Brad, Cat the Witch, Brenna Green, and I'm pretty sure there was also an Everlasting Godstopper in there. Thank you guys so much for helping with the goal. You guys are amazing. You said that you're against a God judging for, choices of who to love. It's sounding more and more, especially when you couple it with the idea that you also believe in people being spiritual or more spiritually connected, I think was what you said. It's sounding like you do have a belief that there's a God or godlike thing. You just are against the way people portray it. Is that accurate?
You know what? Actually, I'd say it's inaccurate. And the reason I'd say it's inaccurate is because even though I may believe that there is some sort of spiritual connection between every human being who exists, I don't believe that spiritual connection is a punishment for the way we live life, per se.
Right.
So then, in terms of purely spiritualistic connection, yeah, I do think there is one. I just don't.
What does that mean?
That means I think there's something that connects me, you, everlasting.
What does the word spiritual mean?
Spiritual for me means your ethos, your pathos is connected to the other.
What does ethos mean?
Your ethical existence.
What does pathos mean?
Your emotional existence. It's tied to other things. You'll notice I didn't mention logos. I don't think our logical existence is tied to other things. I think our ethological and pathological existence.
What do you mean tied to?
I mean, have a spiritual connection with somebody else who may not share the same belief system.
Right, connection, tied to. That's what I'm asking. What does that mean? What is the connection you're talking about?
The connection I'm talking about is through our shared experience.
So just because you experience reality, have things that happen to you, other people experience reality, have things that happen to them, then therefore you're saying there's something spiritually connected.
Yeah. A good example of this is siblings. I think my two sisters and I are very spiritually connected through our experiences.
So you're just using spiritual to imply that there are relationship connections, that you have certain experiences you shared because you were raised in a household together, but you have different perceptions of those experiences, right?
Well, maybe we'd have, different experiences, but I think my middle sister and I would have a very good connection of our dad shooting himself in front of us than my youngest sister would. It's very specific to experience. I think our lived experience is what matters, especially as siblings.
Took that to a different place that was completely unnecessary, and it also didn't answer my question.
Okay. To answer your question, I would say shared experience, I think, holds a very good and strong connection between people.
That's not what my question was either.
All right, what was your question then?
Are you using the word spiritual to replace other things relating to the relationships that people have?
You know what? That is a good question. And although I want to say no, I'll have to say yes. So, Thrayle, yeah, I think I'll have to say yes to your question.
So, if we're just reusing the word spiritual here to replace different connections, then is there something actually there that is beyond our emotional responses to those relationships?
I'll be honest with you, I'll have to say no because I have not personally experienced something like that. My life outview is based upon my personal experiences. And I've not experienced something like that that would justify, beyond familial expectations. So I'll have to say no on that. But I could see how it's plausible. If that makes sense to you.
I would wonder what you're seeing when you say you see how it's possible.
Like, I understand how it could be possible. The way I view life is that it's an endless wave of possibility, right? My personal experience is not going to be the same as yours. And there may be you shared with somebody who was not biologically related to you. So you and him, or you and her, or you and they could have shared the same experience, and it was not biological or familial.
Right, you would still have your unique perspectives of those experiences.
Maybe, but I couldn't for sure say whether you would.
I wonder how you would get to even a maybe there.
Well, it's quite simple, right? I think it's based upon upbringing, right? So, like, let's say you and I were hanging out one day.
Wouldn't even upbringing, each sibling, as said before, have unique experiences, unique perspectives of those experiences, even if they are shared.
Yeah, sure, but the universe
that was missed.
But Thrayle, the universe is infinite, right? Okay, so scientifically speaking,
I don't know that.
Well, scientifically speaking, there's a possibility. It's a possibility. But Thrayle, there's a scientific
So I'm not sure what point you're trying to get to, other than seems like you're trying to argue in favor of your own already recognized misapplication of the word spiritual. I'm not sure what you're getting at otherwise.
Well, spiritually, there's a possibility. Hold on. There's a possibility.
Spiritually, which you've said already, is a word you use to replace relationships between people.
No, it's not a word I use to replace relationships. The relationship between me and my sisters is going to be entirely different from a relationship I have between me and my friends. Entirely different. However, an experience, I think, is a possible, like, you may possibly experience the same thing that I do. The chances of it occurring are very low because of the scientific world we live in. But there's still a chance.
You're actually getting to. I still don't understand what point you're trying to make besides arguing for something that you've already said was a misapplication of a word. I'm not sure if you're just saying we might have similar experiences at some point. I would still wonder how you would get past the fact that we would have different perceptions of those experiences. And even then, I'm not sure what point you're ultimately trying to make, or how this relates to your obvious belief in a God that you disagree with.
I don't believe in a God at all.
You seem to care very much about it, or what it thinks about where you put your privates.
No, I'm very mad about what is pushed about that thought. That is... Well, hold on. You know what? You may be right. Hold on. You may be right.
That for a God to prove its existence to you, part of what it would have to tell you is that it's okay to do what you want with yourself and others. And then you went on to repeat that in different ways, that is the priority. So it seems to me like your belief in God is not what's in question, but rather the doctrines of Islam in this case.
I'll have to disagree with you on that.
And that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
I don't think any sort of spiritual deity is going to dictate who you love, what you eat, or anything like that. That is what I'm trying to say.
Right. And that again is calling into question, do you believe there is something there, godlike?
Godlike, no, but I do believe there's something there scientific-like.
What does that mean?
I mean, I do believe there's something that created us all.
There it is.
But it's not a god. I think it's science. I think it's an event that is proven. But again, you may be right and I may be wrong.
You're saying that you believe there's something that created us, but it can be scientific.
No, I believe it's entirely scientific. I just think you may be right and I may be wrong in terms of the fact that I believe it's entirely scientific. It is scientific, though, isn't it?
When you say that you believe there is a creator, what is it you're referring to?
I don't believe there's a man in the sky or a being in the sky. I think there is a scientific phenomenon that we do not have a full, entire understanding of.
A phenomenon that does what?
I don't know, created a biological life form on the rock that we're floating on through the galaxy. The universe is infinite, is it not?
Created a biological life form. How would it have created a biological life form?
Pure chance, to be honest with you. I think it was pure chance.
So then it's not a creator, then it's an instance, a mechanism within physics.
Or a process.
Yeah, a process.
Yeah. I think a process is more apt, but also we have this level of understanding and these years of understanding that I don't fully comprehend yet, which obviously is crazy to think about. Right? I mean, I don't know how many of y'all in this panel are astrophysicists, but it's amazing to think about it, is it not? So what are the chances that we are the only ones out here? And, you know, if there is a God, what are the chances that we are the only ones who got that message from a God 2,000 years ago? That's what I'm thinking about. It just seems very unlikely.
So when you say creator or created, you keep using these words. Do you think that implies intention to this process?
No, not necessarily. At the core of my beliefs, I think we're an anomaly. But what are the odds that we're the only anomaly?
What would that have to do with a creator?
Oh, nothing. But surely we're not alone.
So if the process that led to us existing is just part of nature, then you're saying that it's likely that this has occurred in another place where it can occur?
Maybe, but, you know, at the same time, I mean, in my current existence, I'm speaking to you about this. In another existence, I'm a fucking, you know, cardinal just sitting on a branch.
You?
Maybe. Who knows? There's no way for you to prove it.
What do you mean by that?
There's no way for me to prove it.
Well, I mean, what do you mean by that? What do you mean you are in another?
You and I are not talking to each other. How do you know I, as my own soul, is talking to you? You don't.
What the heck is a soul?
Yeah.
Good question. I don't know. I don't know. I guess that's my thing. I believe in the existence of science, and I've held a level of resentment towards the religion I was brought up on and the faith I was brought up on. And I
What
can't.
we're hearing mostly is the resentment towards the faith that you were brought up on.
Exactly.
Which is making it hard to hear if there actually is a belief in a God or not. And
Right.
it's sounding like that's where your fixation is the resentment towards the faith.
Right. So, like, Thrayle, you don't know if I still believe in it or not, right?
I don't know if you know.
Exactly. I don't even know if I know. I just think I don't. But maybe I still do. Maybe I don't know. It's scary to think about. I hate the idea of it. That's what frightens me so much. It's like, what if I'm stuck in this perpetual state of thinking that I do know what's going on, and I'm stuck in this state of belief of my religion, and I myself don't even believe in it, but I can't escape it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm scared of that. It's like, I don't even believe in it, but I don't know what to do or think. Like, in my mind,
Okay.
my spirit is one
Slow
that...
down there, Lucifer.
Okay.
Because now I'm going to have to ask what a spirit is, and you're going to say you don't know.
I will say I do know, actually.
Oh. Oh.
Do you want to hear it or not?
Yeah, so let's hear what a spirit is.
I think my personal state of being. I think that's my spirit. And I think my spirit does not agree with religious teachings. And that's what frightens me. Granted, I may have not lived long enough to fully know, but I feel like at the age that I am, I do know what my spirit wants and what my spirit believes. And it frightens me because my spirit... I think my state of being believes that every human is equal. And it may be
Your state of
teachings
being
of...
beliefs.
I think so. I think, well, my biological or indoctrined state of being, I think, have different teachings. I think my biological state of being believes in Jean-Jacques Rousseau's teachings. I think we are all allowed to live life happy with our own personal beliefs and want without harming
There
others.
it is again. That was your fixation again. Hello, Wildon.
Hello.
I don't know if you've got any questions for this guest, but I think we're going to move on soon, so this
Is my fixation wrong, though?
I'm not here to tell you what is right or wrong. I'm just pointing out what I see as I question it. Go ahead, Wildon.
Okay, Yusuf.
Yes.
So, what would be the difference between your physical state of being and your spiritual state of being?
I think my physical can feel harm and my spiritual cannot feel physical harm. Hold on, there's a better way to verbalize this. I think my spiritual is able to only feel spiritual harm, my physical can feel both physical and spiritual harm.
Okay, so what can you give me an example of what like spiritual harm would look like?
I think guilt is a good example. You don't feel a physical side effect of guilt, but spiritually you do.
Is a spirit a mind?
I don't know. I don't have the answers to that.
Didn't you say you could answer what a spirit was?
And your answer was essence of your being. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
State of being.
Guys,
State of
to
being.
be honest with y'all, like honestly speaking, I don't know. I genuinely
Nothing wrong with that answer.
I genuinely do not believe there is some sort of higher power. All I believe in is what I've studied for 22 years of my existence. That's it. And that's what kind of frightens me. I don't think that there's any sort of deity out there who would punish us for certain actions. And as Thrayle brought up, I'm very biased about those certain actions. I don't know, guys. It's something I've had a lot of deep conversations about, and I still don't know the answer.
All right, I've got one last question for you.
What's up?
It's going to be a weird one.
Okay.
If you had to choose between strawberry, chocolate, or vanilla ice cream, which would you pick?
I'd say chocolate.
Okay. Note it down.
Because I really like cookies and cream, and the closest one is chocolate, I think. Maybe vanilla, but I don't know. I'd still, my gut is telling me to choose chocolate.
I don't think there was a wrong answer.
Okay.
Yeah, that was... I might ask that a few times tonight, Thrayle, if that's okay.
I'll be interested to see the spread, but also what the inference is.
Yeah, I think I'd go
Philly.
chocolate, man.
How are you doing, Philly?
Yeah. While I'm asking the question.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Philly.
Hi, all. Hi, Everlasting. Hi, Will Dog.
Hello.
Did you have a question for Yusufer before we move on?
Not a burning question. I definitely have questions, but it sounds like you were ready to move on.
Well, I don't want to push him beyond where he's already pushing himself.
Huh?
Exactly. It sounds like, Yusufer, you have a lot of questions for yourself, for where you are in your belief. You clearly have some disagreements with the Quran and Islam, and some disagreements with the way people perpetuate the teachings. But I would wonder, if your beliefs are as much towards science as they are away from organized religion.
Yeah, maybe. But still, do you think organized religion even has a way in modern society? Realistically speaking, I don't think so. It fundamentally argues against what we all know to be scientific fact.
Well, I think the important thing is it sounding your own beliefs. That's just my impression in this short conversation we've had. And I think if you just keep asking questions, then, you'll be in a good place.
I have noticed that as well throughout this conversation. There's no shortage of you questioning your beliefs. I do see that, and I applaud you the honesty.
Well, yeah, but another big gripe I have, I think religion is inherently misogynistic. I don't think it agrees with my views about certain rights. Maybe it's just Islam, maybe it's others, but I don't know, man. I don't know. And I hate that I don't know. That's scary that I don't know.
Why is the I don't know scary?
Because that's what I was raised with, man. The existence, the promise of something afterwards. And it's scary. And the older I grew up, the more I studied what I study, the more I've seen what I've seen. It's just, I don't know. And it's frightening. I hate it.
If nobody knows?
Yeah, maybe. And that would be ideal for me at this point. It's just, I think I'd rather have none of us know than a select group know and be pushing it on somebody else with no guarantee. Does that make sense or no?
It does. Unfortunately, I think you're in a reality that is both of those things.
It's frightening, though. Like, historically speaking, right? It's scary. What type of God would sit there and give the answer to a few, and then the rest of them are, subjugated to having to give their best guess, basically, on a test? And that test lasts 70 years, or 60 years, or however long. It fucking sucks, man.
What makes you think you're being tested?
What I was taught.
It's indoctrination.
Yeah, indoctrination plays a very important role in it, I'll say. But it's frightening, you know?
What if the test is the thing?
All I have to go on is my own personal existence, right?
Right.
Okay, so why would my dad shoot himself in front of me? That's what I don't understand.
Going back to this now.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Can answer for you.
Yeah, that's why I'm having a lack of faith, man. It doesn't make sense. Why did somebody develop an alcoholic problem to deal with their issues?
Yusufer, I'm gonna have to go ahead, and I think this would be the best point for us to stop. But
okay.
I want you to know that for one, you're not alone in not knowing. I don't think anyone knows. welcome you to, of course, join the Discord community. There are plenty of other people there who recognize that they don't know. And who knows, maybe some of their questions might inspire you. But I also think that you should keep asking questions. One thing I do want to make sure of is that you do have someone to talk to.
Yeah, I do. Again, sorry, I just got my own.
I can tell, and I don't want you to feel like I'm shutting you out for
No, you're good.
saying what you've said, but I also, while I understand where you're coming from, it sounds like processing needs to happen, and this might not be the best place.
Yeah. Good night, y'all. I'll catch y'all.
Appreciate you, Yusufer. I really do. Hope you keep asking questions. And we can definitely throw some W's in chat for Yusufer. He definitely can question his beliefs. I would hope that he can keep doing that after he's processed what is quite clearly a trauma. Well, good evening, Philly and Wildot and Everlasting. Hope y'all are all doing good. Ready for more questioning.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
You and Q. I don't know who was first, but I know at least some of these names have waited a while. And I'm going to try to clear you out. Well, by bringing you up in the order that you requested. I think. While we do that, thank you guys for the 43,000 times you've tapped the screen. That's really amazing. And the 55 shares, all those do help get us out to the FYP. Maybe cross the screen of somebody who's curious enough or courageous enough to question their beliefs. There's one that exists. Hello, Nitrous.
Man. I love the sound of that
You
guitar.
ended up with 2. Nitrous, can I get your age for TikTok TOS?
40.
Do you have a belief in a god or gods, higher power, or anything?
I was just loving on that guitar, but what do you want to ask me about?
I just asked if you had a belief in a god or gods, higher power, or anything like
Yeah,
that.
sure, dude. I mean, no.
Why not?
I haven't been helped enough, maybe.
You haven't been helped enough.
Yeah, that's usually how people get to that belief, right? They
I
need
don't know.
help.
Nitrous, are you drunk right now?
Not totally.
I see. I do find that these conversations tend to work better on a clearer head.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and set you down for now, and maybe another time you can request backup. And we also have Genesis and the Mystery TV. Can I get your age for TikTok TOS?
Yeah, I'm 21.
And do you have a belief in a god or gods, higher power, or anything like that?
Yeah.
And which god do you believe in?
God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
And have you read your Bible from beginning to end?
Almost.
What do you mean by almost?
I've read like 90% of it. Not all of it.
Do you believe the stories from the Bible to be true and literal?
Yeah, I believe them to be true.
So the 6-day creation in Genesis 1, for instance, you believe that is true?
Yeah.
And so you believe that God created everything. Why do you believe that?
Why do I believe that?
So
That's
anything in the Bible you believe because you believe it is God's word.
well, yeah.
Why do you
reasons
believe it
for
is
that.
God's word?
I believe it's reliable because of who Jesus was, how he lived his life,
That
and what he
wasn't
taught.
I asked. That wasn't what I asked at all.
What'd you ask?
Did you hear my question?
I sound like you said, why do you believe that it's God's word? I answered you.
So you believe that the words that came before Jesus are God's word because Jesus?
Yeah. Is that an issue?
How do you know that it's reliable in the first place?
Who, Jesus? Or the entire thing?
You're getting your understanding of Jesus from the Bible, right?
Well, yeah, that's the only things written about him directly of his life, so yeah.
So then, how do you know that the Bible is reliably conveying the life and teachings of Jesus?
Because there's no...
Sorry, but I need you to stop for a second. What is that noise?
Are you talking to me?
There's a thumping, clicking sound that's coming through constantly. It stopped now.
Stop now? Okay, well that was probably me. I was getting something. I was moving. So let me sit down so there's no thumping. Hold up. Alright, I'm sitting down. What was your question?
I had asked how you know that the Bible reliably conveys the life and the teachings of Jesus in the first place.
Well, the Bible, as far as the New Testament goes, it's historically accurate. It doesn't make claims that around that period of time would be an issue. There's been no archaeological discoveries that contradict it.
How
The
is that any
Gospels.
different than saying that? Okay. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Please continue.
You can say what your question or whatever you're gonna say.
That happens to me all the time.
What do you find about the Gospels that can be historically confirmed?
The crucifixion event.
that specific crucifixion event out of the hundreds of or 100,000 or so that occurred throughout the Roman Empire. Is there some kind of verification historically that confirms that?
Yeah.
What would that be?
Well, there'd be a couple ways. The consistencies of the four manuscripts, the four Gospels. Romans did crucify people. They did crucify Jews as well. They had
right,
power
but
in Judea.
we're looking for this one specific event to be confirmed. And so you said the consistency between the four Gospels.
Yeah.
Are you aware? Are you? Do you know what time of day Jesus was crucified, according to the Gospels?
Oh, I don't have that memorized off the top of my head now.
Are you aware that Mark and John give two different times of the day where that occurred?
Yeah.
So
days.
Well,
separate days.
Should, yeah, that should be expected. The Jews had a different calendar than the Gentiles. Mark was a Gentile and John was a Jew. So that you should expect to see that. If you didn't see that, there'd actually be an issue. That would tell us that John either didn't grow up in a Judaic place or he wasn't a Jew.
Okay. So the account in Mark says that Jesus was crucified at what time? Well, you said you didn't remember. Okay. It says 9 a.m. and John is saying that he was having his trial at noon. So, and the way it reads is in the third hour he was crucified in Mark, and it was in the 6th hour in John. And you're saying that because the Jews and the Romans marked their hours at different times, that's your explanation for it?
Well, that's not the only explanation. I mean, there's a lot of explanations for why that is. That was just one of them I named. There's about 3 or 4 explanations that I think are suitable or reasonable. That was just
how would that explain the different? How would that explain the different day? Because one of the accounts says that it occurred on the day before, the day of preparation before the Passover, and the other says that it was on the Sabbath.
Not every Jew celebrated the Passover on the same day.
How do you know that? Where I should ask this: where are you getting that information from?
I mean, you can find that in the Old Testament of the Bible, and that's a Jewish writing.
Where do you find
You can also find that from Jews.
Where do you find it in the Old Testament?
Let me find it. I mean, I don't have these things off the top of my head. I just remember seeing them. What did I say again?
Is it possible that you misremembered?
Yeah, that's a possibility, 100%. Possible.
You're just saying things that sound accurate to you and hoping that they stick.
No. I've heard that from a scholar before. So no, this was something I had heard.
So my understanding is that the only time that Jewish people celebrate it's either a 7-day Passover or an 8-day Passover, based on whether or not they're Reformed Jews or time of Jesus, the Jews were not in diaspora.
Okay, well, maybe that reason's not a good reason then. But I mean, there's other reasons. So there's one ruled out, but there you got the other ones.
Would you say that Matthew, Mark, and Luke associated with each other regularly if the story is true?
Can you repeat that?
Would you say that the four authors of the gospel
would have interacted with one another regularly?
Well, Mark was Peter's disciple.
Outside
Yeah, Mark was Peter's disciple. Luke was early member of the church in Acts. So yeah, Luke would have known John. Luke would have known Matthew. Luke would have known Mark. Mm-hmm. They knew each other, so they would have seen each other at some time or heard about each other. Well, either of the two. It's possible, though, that not all of them met for certain reasons, especially Mark.
You said Mark was a disciple of Peter's?
Yeah, Mark was a disciple of Peter's. He sat down Ignatius of Antioch, who was an early disciple of John the Apostle. He wrote to us that Peter sat down with Mark in his writing of the gospel, and that he went over all of the things that had happened. That's why Mark's the first gospel. And it was co-authored by Peter, because Peter was the one that gave him the information.
Didn't Irenaeus just describe Mark as his translator?
Well, yeah, Mark would have been Peter's translator, because Peter would have sat down with Mark and he would have told him, here's what happened, here's what we saw, here's what we witnessed. And Mark would have written this information down for the church and for other people so that they could have been able to read and understand it. Because Mark spoke Greek. Mark was a Gentile.
Right, and if you believe the book of Acts, John would have been illiterate, according to the book of Acts. And so would have Peter have been. So, that would explain why Peter would need somebody to scribe or dictate, his message. Are you familiar with how the authors are attributed authorship to those books? Do you know where that comes from?
Yeah.
Can you tell me?
No, comes from the earliest church fathers, like Ignatius and Irenaeus, Origen, Clement of Alexandria.
Well, specifically Irenaeus. He's the first one to attribute the authorship.
Yeah.
So we scholarship is pretty much in agreement that they remain anonymous. That they're attributed those names, but we really don't know who wrote them. And so I'll ask you this: do you think Matthew wrote Matthew?
Yes.
Do you think Mark's gospel was first?
I believe that Mark's gospel was first. Yeah.
Okay. Why would Matthew copy his own conversion story verbatim from Mark?
Why would he do that?
Yep.
Because he would have worked off of Mark. Mark was the first one. He would have worked off of Mark. He would have had the writing of Mark, and he would have sat down with it, and with Mark and probably Peter, and he would have went over events and told it from his perspective.
Is it possible that it wasn't written by Matthew? Because if it was written by Matthew, he would be referring to himself in the third person throughout the entire gospel. Every time he refers to himself, he's referring to himself in third person. And he never identifies himself as the author either.
Oh yeah, he doesn't. But I don't think that takes away from it. If he's referring to himself in a certain tone or figure, I don't think there's an issue with that either.
It sounds like you have an answer that satisfies you for every contradiction or potential issue that might be brought up.
Well, I don't think
that's the case.
No, I don't think they're contradictions. I think that it's
Contradictions is what I said.
yeah.
I think.
Okay. Yeah, so it's different perspectives, right? Because for instance, like John, it doesn't say he's illiterate.
So what
It
would
says that he was
convince
just
you?
that doesn't mean he's
Right.
illiterate.
Right. So what would convince you that the Bible was not reliable?
Jesus Christ. Well, you'd have to give sufficient evidence for three things. First of all, you'd have to give sufficient evidence that Jesus wasn't a real historical person. Second, you'd have to give sufficient evidence that Jesus Christ was not crucified, buried, and an empty tomb was found. Third, you'd have to give sufficient evidence that Jesus Christ was a moral monster. If you couldn't get these three things with near certainty, I would be unconvinced.
So you're going to believe everything in the Bible unless we can convince you of those three things.
Fascinating.
Yeah, that is very interesting to me. There's nothing else that would undercut the legitimacy of the Bible in your mind.
Well, I mean, I don't know what I don't know what else there would be. I like I've said, I've read most of the Bible. I've heard a lot of the contradictions. Most of them, if you read context, they're not contradictions. So, I mean, it would have to be something. Remember, my belief is based around Jesus. So,
but where does your... Sorry, Thrayle.
No, go ahead, Philly.
My understanding from earlier is that you said that your knowledge about Jesus comes from the Bible, and that's the only place, I think, was the words that you had said. Is that not? Did I hear you correctly?
well, yeah, I mean, that's the only historical accounts we have of Jesus Christ,
So-
or the four Gospels.
So, is it the Gospels? Like,
So, if I'm following along correctly, and please someone correct me if I'm not. In order to prove that the Bible, that Jesus, like these three particular things about Jesus, everything we know about Jesus comes from the book, and so we have to. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, the three things contradict each other. They cannot coexist. You cannot meet his burden. It is impossible. You can't prove that Jesus didn't exist and was a moral monster. That makes no fucking sense.
Well, yeah, no. If you can match the first one, or you can match the next, because the next two, there wouldn't be an issue necessarily with the next two. But if you could,
But you said it had to be all three. You said it had to be all three. You had to do this, then this, then this.
Oh, I misspoke then. What I was meaning was you had to do one of the three. If you couldn't prove one of the three, then.
Well, okay, so regarding the... Go ahead, Hemi, I'm sorry.
Well, the whole entire idea about, like, Jesus existing as a historical figure, if you're saying the only place that we know of Jesus existing is the Gospels, because we have no evidence otherwise, then how can we even meet the first burden? Because all you're saying is that he exists in the story, and since we have no other evidence that he exists, you take the story to be accurate. And I just don't understand how one could even remotely get to a, historical Jesus based off of the story that talks about the character that we're trying to figure out whether or not existed.
There's outside sources. I mean, it's not like the Gospels are just like more of an account of his life. But I mean, there's other historians like Cestius and Pliny and Josephus and Tacitus who all knew he was real. They wrote about him.
I'm sorry, but didn't Pliny just relay what Christians of the time frame believed? He never once mentions.
He talks about
he doesn't
Christos.
Yeah, but he's not he's not contemporary to Jesus' life, correct?
Oh yeah, no, Pliny wasn't. Oh, he didn't mean Jesus. No.
So, general consensus among believers at the time, correct?
Yeah, Pliny's relying on who Jesus was seen as in that time period.
Yeah, so it's
Pliny
by the believers.
Did Pliny mention Jesus by name, or did he just mention a Christ that was worshipped?
Well, yeah, he said that they worshipped Christ as God. Known, significant Christ at that time period.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'd be interested to see one that was as significant as Jesus in that time period.
Well,
something. It was an ointment that you would put on your eyes, and it would open them. That's what it was to the Greeks.
Christus was it's translated to anointed one, right?
No, it was also something.
Yeah, it's anointed, not ointment.
Well, I know, but I'm saying Christ was something also they would refer to something you put on your eyes. It was an eye-opening thing.
But it's a title, though, correct?
Yeah. That was one of Jesus's titles, was the Christ.
And you recognize that other people had that title as well?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that we would say are anointed. David was anointed.
And a high priest king would be anointed, correct?
Yeah, correct. But the difference would be that David was an anointed king, and he was a prophet. Jesus is the king of a much larger scale, and he's the Mashiach.
Is Jesus? Oh, sorry.
What does Mashiach mean?
Means Messiah in Hebrew.
And what does Messiah mean?
The Messiah is the one who is to come. It's God in human form, as Isaiah says, Emmanuel, God with us.
Is that what it...
Have you ever heard that it also means anointed one?
I've heard people say that, yeah.
When was Jesus anointed?
Jesus was anointed within eternity. There was no moment. He was eternally anointed.
When someone was anointed in Hebrew, they literally had oil placed upon them. It's like a somewhat of a ritual type of thing. So everybody who was anointed, David, for instance, he was anointed, meaning that he had this holy oil put upon him. So at what point in time did Jesus have this oil put upon him?
When John baptized him, he was anointed with water and fire. That was his anointing.
That's water. That's not an oil. That's not a holy oil.
Have you heard about water and oil? How they interact?
Yeah. They don't interact very well.
They don't, right? Okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying Jesus, as you would expect to see a significance or a difference, because when you're dealing with David, you're going to see these ceremonial, traditional Jewish things, because David was just a king. Jesus is the God.
Anointed.
Well, yeah, but
it's not just
those are prophets, kings, priests, humans.
Where, Genesis, do you get the idea that Jesus would not be anointed when Jesus is called the Messiah, is called the Christ?
No, he isn't. I'm not saying he isn't. Jesus clearly is the anointed one. But he was
What way?
Well, he was eternally anointed. He was anointed by the Father.
What does that mean, to be eternally anointed?
There was no point. I can't even say point in time, because eternity, there is no time in eternity. There was no I mean, there's really not even a word because moment refers to time. There was just no situation in which Jesus wasn't anointed. He was eternally, it was eternally willed. It's something that
He was eternally
can't
willed,
humanly
Where is that
grasp.
written?
but never occurred.
Yeah, where is it written?
Well, it's
Or
written
is this
when
something that
it
you've
says
assumed?
God is eternal. And it says
Where
that
does it
God
say that
wills.
Jesus is?
Well, it says God
Where
wills
does it
all
say that?
things.
Right, but where does it say that Jesus is eternally anointed?
Well, we know that the Mashiach would have to be eternally anointed because God's perfect in knowledge. So
Where does it
God
say
would
that?
have
Sorry,
eternally.
I'm asking you. Where does it say that?
Where does it say that Jesus verbatim is eternally anointed?
Or that the Mashiach will be?
Where does it say that the Mashiach is anointed? In Isaiah 53.
You're not even hearing me. You're choosing specifically to not hear my questions. It's dishonest.
Well,
It's very,
that's your
nobody is full.
opinion.
Shut up while I'm speaking. Be respectful. I was still speaking. You were being disingenuous with my question.
Answer to if you're not.
You bore things against Michael.
Okay,
Go ahead,
that's your opinion.
What was the question, Genesis?
Well, I don't remember because I got interrogated like I was in a CIA.
Because he wasn't paying attention.
Well, I was. I answered his question.
You answered the question, but you can't say what the question
Well,
was.
he said, where is it written that the Messiah is eternally anointed?
And do you
So
feel
where
you
is it
answered
written?
that question?
Isaiah 53.
Isaiah 53.
Isaiah 53 says the Mashiach is eternally anointed.
Yep. It says,
It does
I'll
not say
send
that
my...
in Isaiah
says that.
53.
Well, if you're asking for a verse that says that the Mashiach's eternally anointed, that's just simply what we call as philosophers a verbatim fallacy. It doesn't have to say that. It can say it within context. No, I said
it in there.
Oh man, that's a lie, man. You're lying now. I didn't say that. You're taking.
Alright.
Can I actually?
Alright.
I'll repeat what I said verbatim.
This is
What
the
I
most
actually said.
disingenuous.
You know that this is recorded, right, Genesis?
Well, I know I'm a Christian, so I
know
see
that
you
this is
treat Christians
recorded,
different.
right?
That's how you behave.
Genesis?
But
This is not
Why are you
treating
ignoring?
Christians different.
well, it is.
Clearly.
You do this
Oh my
all the
gosh.
time.
Clearly,
That's why I
this is
came
a
in here
Christian.
to deal with you.
Clearly, this is a
Deal.
Christian who has never read 1 Peter 3:15. Clearly.
I have.
Why don't you pull up that verse? Why don't you pull up that verse right now and read it?
Yeah, I already know what it says.
Read it.
Yeah, give a good reason for the hope you have with gentleness and kindness. So what?
Where is your gentleness? Where is your kindness?
Well, that's your view of what gentleness and kindness are. Where do you get that from?
How do you define gentleness and kindness, Genesis?
Fascinating.
I define kindness through the way that Christ was kind to others, through an ultimate love and telling them truth. When Jesus called the Pharisees serpents, that was kind.
And
He was telling them
gentleness?
the truth. Gentleness. Well, Jesus was gentle with people, that when the woman touched his garment, he didn't turn around and get angry with her. He
How do you
stayed calm
define
and he asked who
gentleness?
touched it. How do I define it?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who is patient and easy with somebody.
Do you feel like you have been patient and easy?
Yeah, I actually do. I've been muted most of the time.
You've been muted most of the time?
Yeah.
He's referring to the
That
fact
is-
that he's self-muting himself.
And that is patient. Okay, I hear you. So, the intention of this panel is not to debate. It is not to get contentious. It's to question beliefs of somebody who is able to question their beliefs. Genesis, do you feel like you're able to question your beliefs?
Yeah, I have. I spent many years questioning them. That's why I'm a Christian.
How do you question your beliefs?
I think about it. I try to rationalize it. I see that I look at the evidence. I see if it's rational, see if it's irrational. And then I make my decision. I come to a conclusion.
When you come to a conclusion, are you still able to question it, or does it become unquestionable at that stage?
Well, if I come to a conclusion about a passage being a contradiction, I can clearly read in the context that it's not. Yeah, no, I've come to a
question.
Well, yeah, if I have come to a conclusion, then yeah,
If you have come to a
find
conclusion,
I find evidence to be reliable. I find evidence to be reliable, and so yeah, I come to a conclusion. Sure, it could change, but the chances
Can you answer her question? What was
I
her
did.
question?
She said something along the lines, when you come to a conclusion, is that the final determination, or can you still be open to other things? It was along the lines of that.
yes,
I said, yeah.
are you still able to question a conclusion that you come to, or does it become unquestionable when you have the conclusion?
I mean, sure. Somebody else can give a better line of evidence than what I discovered. Yeah, fine.
So if somebody gives evidence, then you are willing to question whether the evidence supports or perhaps needs to result in a change of your conclusion?
Yeah.
What has been your most recent situation where you had evidence that caused you to pause and consider?
I had the idea for many years that angels were non-corporeal beings, and I had spoken to another Christian who explained to me why that was not true based off of what Scripture says. He showed me in Genesis where the angels obviously had intercourse with humans, producing offspring, and clearly beings without material bodies can't do that, so I came to a different conclusion. Angels are biological.
Did you come on this panel to question your beliefs?
I came on this panel to see that if there was good enough reason, if you guys could present intelligent reasons to question my beliefs.
What would cause you, in your mind, to consider a reason intelligent enough to question your beliefs?
Here's one. I want somebody to go into we'll say you can go to any of the Gospels, you can pick any of the four. And I want you to find one immoral thing that Jesus said.
Is it just what he said, or could it also be what he did?
And you'd have to also give context with that. So it'd have to be immoral within, reality.
Rather specific.
And what would that evidence brought to you do?
Jesus wasn't a morally perfect man. He's not God. So that would probably make me either become part of Judaism, because that would still stand to be the most reliable of the religions as far as historical evidence goes, or I would become something along the lines of a deist.
And how would you determine whether an action or a word that was brought to you presented as immoral, whether it is immoral
I just
or
wanted to
immoral?
bring something up real quick.
What would be your criteria?
That's a question that's very interesting. I don't know, because if I granted that Jesus is not God, then any of the 10 Commandments, any of love, treat your neighbor as yourself, love your enemies, these things don't hold any meaning. It's merely subjective. So morals in themselves don't have any meaning. So I don't know.
Why would morals have no meanings if Jesus is not God?
Well, it
Would there
depends
still
what
be a
world.
God? But it just
Depends.
Jesus?
Well, there could be a God. I guess, honestly, there could be. But I don't know who he is, so I don't know what his morals. I don't know his code. His
Didn't you
code might
just
be
say?
somebody hits you, you punch him back.
Didn't you just say that you would potentially turn to Judaism if Jesus is not God? Judaism has a God?
Yeah, they have a God. Yep, Yahweh.
Would you not still see the text that is in common between Judaism and Christianity as showing what the morals of that God would be?
Yeah, you would. And I think it would be very hard not to find myself back as a Christian, simply because then I'd be spending, my days, instead of reading, because I read the Old Testament, but reading mostly New Testament, reading Torah and Tanakh, which Jesus is all over the Torah and Tanakh, and God having a son, so I think I'd just find my way back to Christ eventually.
Nowhere in the Torah and Tanakh have I read the name Jesus, nor have I heard of a specific Son of God. Are you able to point to any of those passages?
Yeah. I can give you a lot of them. Just give me a moment here to get my Bible.
Can we start with where it says Jesus?
Well, that's a verbatim fallacy. If it doesn't have to say description of God having a son.
So it doesn't say Jesus in the Old Testament.
Well, no, the name.
You keep referring to this verbatim fallacy. Do you think you're in a debate?
Well, when somebody's questioning me about my view or another's view.
Right, and you say that Jesus is in the Old Testament, and they say, is the name Jesus there? And you say yes. And
no, I said
where, and you say that's a verbatim fallacy.
Okay, so
is that
let's get a
or is that you just being contentious? You might have gotten muted when you were talking over me. I don't think you've understood yet that is discourteous.
Okay. She said, is Jesus in the Old Testament? I said, yes. Now, the specific name Jesus, no, that name doesn't exist in Hebrew.
No, but you said, did you not say, Genesis, that you spend a lot of time reading the Torah and Tanakh, and Jesus and the Son of God is all over? That's where my question came from, is from your
Yeah, God having a son, and Jesus as in who he was, what he lived and died for. Yeah.
Okay.
Now the name Jesus, no, because that doesn't exist in Hebrew.
Thank you, Genesis. I think I'm done questioning this guest Thrayle, but I know that there are others on the panel.
And they do have questions.
Wildot's been waiting so patiently.
Duragon and Wildot both, yeah. I'll let you two Rochambeau. I'm kidding. Go ahead, Wildot.
I will always I will always give Wildot the way before myself. Please.
Well, thank you, Duragon. So, Genesis, if the Bible didn't contain the Gospels, would you still believe in God?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
What about the Bible sends the Gospels would lead you to believe in God?
Who Jesus was, how he lived his life, what he lived for, what he claimed about himself, and what he eventually died for.
Those are the Gospels.
He's saying without the gospel.
Oh, okay. Without the Gospels, well, I'd come to the same. I would be waiting that I'd come to the same conclusion, because if I read Isaiah 53, I would know that the Messiah is going to lay his life down and atone for the world and humanity's sin. And then reading more of the Old Testament, I would know that only God can atone for sin in an ultimate sense. So I would come to the conclusion, well, God must lay his life down.
Well, you said Isaiah 53?
That's what he said.
Yeah, Isaiah 53.
I'm sorry, Will Dodd. I'm not going to trample on your question. Go ahead, Will Dodd.
Okay. So, how do I put this? What sin is like needing salvation?
What do you mean by that?
Well, like for like global atonement, sin is being forgiven.
All of them. Once you, David said it, when you're born into the world because it's fallen, when you come out of your mother's womb, you've already sinned. So when you're born, you've already done enough. Does that answer you?
Why is that the case? Why is being born a sin?
Well, you're born into a fallen and imperfect world, and in the human nature, because your nature's
fallen.
Why is it fallen? Because God gave man moral agency, and man scrambled.
Well, why does that make it imperfect? We used our moral agency.
Well, we're imperfect on a moral scale. We're not really morally just.
Are we God?
Are we God? No, we're not God.
So, what would be the point then of trying to attain like this perfect morality?
The point comes down to obeying your Heavenly Father, who created you and gave you life. It's about the heart.
If he wanted us to obey, why would he give us this will?
He wanted us to obey out of love. He didn't want us to obey out of being robotic and not having complete knowledge.
But the fact that we can disobey doesn't.
That we have obedient, whether it's God or your parents or.
Who?
Huh? Repeat that.
To who?
You speak really quick. Repeat that.
Bad to who? Or whom?
Well, according to God. I mean, I don't know what else.
God gave us the moral agency that we could disagree with him.
Yeah, he did, but he also gives you, just like your township. Well, not your township, but the country. There's things you can go into a store and rob it right now. You're allowed to do that, but you have to face consequences if you do. Just like when you were a kid, you were allowed to do something your parent told you not to do, but there'd been consequences for that.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's not kind of where I'm going with this. Because it seems to me, if God wanted to create us with the ability to, choose otherwise, and we choose otherwise, wouldn't that be things operating as intended, not fallen or imperfect?
choose to obey God and choose Him alone. Where our issue was, we got.
Hold up. Well, then why is there any other option?
Why is there not any other option?
Why is there any other option?
Yeah, well, like you
If
said
we
earlier,
intended
God.
to do this,
Yeah.
Well,
would we have the option?
It's, well, maybe intended's the wrong word. You ought to obey Him.
Why?
But because he's the creator of the universe. I mean, I exist because of Him. Why would I not obey Him? That alone gives Him obedience.
Well, no,
It doesn't answer the
Yeah, that
question.
doesn't.
But go ahead, Will.
Yeah. Why would I obey that? Like, I exist because of my parents. Somebody exists because of him if he's the case, right? But, like, why does simply creating us make it so that we ought obey?
Why do you ought obey your parents?
I don't ought obey my parents. In fact, I disagree with them wholeheartedly on most things.
Well, that's not a. I mean, when you were a kid, you're not a kid anymore. Like when you were a kid, did you obey your parents?
This is like the exact wrong guy to do that with.
Genesis, you don't know Will Dot's childhood, and you don't know his parents.
Okay, well, what about your parents?
Well, I disagreed with their. Well, yeah, Dan Bryan, yeah. So
This is kind of a ridiculous detour, but sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to go. We don't need to go there.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So yeah, simply put, there's no reason to. I don't see creation as being like this thing that I should obey him for. Especially
That's not it.
Like, the world has like all of these things like evil or bad and suffering in it.
I wonder who calls that. Humans. Evil happens in the world not because animals, because humans.
Well, no. But, how can those things happen in the world if God didn't intend them to be there?
I'm not saying that He didn't. God doesn't make a man take somebody's life. But God did create Adam and Eve and Satan knowing what they were going to do. But the reality is, you don't get moral agency without flaws. You're never going to find somebody who's a moral agent who doesn't, at least here and there, go against the person giving it. Just like you have kids who really listen to their parents and even they screw up sometimes, and then you have kids, they don't give a rip what their parents have to say.
Are you familiar with Isaiah 45:7?
Read it.
No, he's only read 53 and only the parts that he agrees with.
That's a pretty nasty thing to say.
I'm just wondering because you said that humans are responsible for the evil in the world, and Isaiah 45:7 says different.
You're talking about calamity?
Yeah.
That's.
Are you familiar with the Hebrew text?
He has one translation and only believes it.
Right. And is there can you give me an example of like a good calamity? Like how does just calling it calamity, how does that like change anything?
God says that things that others. So, for instance, the Amalekites. The Amalekites were a tribe of horrific people who did things to kids. We're going to leave it at there. And most people would say that is evil, that the Israelites went in there and unalived all of them. I mean, they G-sided them. They didn't just stop there. But you don't want those kind of people roaming the earth. All their kids would have done is grown up, done the same thing, and went sought vengeance against the Jews. So that was something that most people might see as bad. I have no issue with that. If someone's doing
okay.
that right now,
I know Duragon has questions, and Hammy's got probably questions, and I know I've got at least one more thing I want to bring up. So, Duragon, what do you got?
Um, I kind of wanted to maybe take a little bit of a step back. Earlier, you guys were talking about the anointment of Jesus. Does somebody have a Bible?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
the Bible out.
I think everyone on the panel does.
Oh, well, wonderful. Let's everybody, all of my children here, can you please? I'm just kidding. Can we look at Acts 10:37? Funny
Are
thing
you
is,
gonna make me pull out my tablet and set it all up till I can look this up?
if you want to, Hammy, but I was in my mind, I was kind of thinking maybe I should ask Hammy to do it.
Did you say 27? 1027?
No,
10:37.
37.
10:38.
Yeah, I was actually not too long ago. I was reading this.
That word.
Yeah. Can somebody read it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that message. Oh, sorry. I'll go for it.
Well, specifically, it should be 10:38, but it's how God anointed Jesus of Nazareth with the Holy Spirit and power.
What's wrong with that?
No, so I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, I have a whole bunch of contentions with the book itself, but it's kind of interesting that I don't know. It's kind of weird because I was reading this like a couple days ago, and it just kind of came up like this where you brought it up about talking about Jesus being anointed with the Holy Spirit, or at least being always anointed.
Well, I'll tell you this.
I don't necessarily really understand it, at least from this book, but I don't know.
What don't you understand about it? I'm just curious.
Oh, I'm coming at this from a completely different perspective than you, bro.
No, I know. I'm just asking.
Well, it doesn't really align. I mean, I guess that's fine. I don't know. There's just a lot of weird information, so I'm just trying
Was there a question specifically related to the verse, though?
No, there wasn't really a question. It was just more of, I think the conversation kind of turned into this thing where it's like, where does it talk about Jesus being anointed in heaven, or always being anointed? And I think this is maybe what he was talking about.
Oh yeah, I was talking about Luke. There's Luke 4:18 is what I was talking about.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that would kind of make sense because that's written by the same person who wrote Acts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you read, and that's not an issue because Isaiah said the same thing about the Messiah. He said that the Spirit of the Lord God.
Yeah, but don't
Anointed
you think
in
that
the
that's
Spirit.
kind of... But don't you think that's kind of just taking... Well, at that point, don't you think Luke and Acts are just taking what has already been written and just applying it to Jesus at that point?
Well, the Jews actually didn't understand the Messiah to be what Jesus, what happened to him and stuff. They hadn't, so it's not like somebody could have went read it and just applied it to him. They actually would not have understood him to do that. That's why they mocked him when he was on the cross. They thought that the Messiah was going to come as like a warmonger and he was going to destroy all the Gentiles and they were going to make the new temple and the new Israel and just dominate the earth.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I understand how there's going to be exegesis like that, where people are going to be able to, you know, kind of find ways to make it fit their narrative. But I guess my question was just, isn't it kind of easy to be able to just take this information and write it and apply it to this person based off of prior writings?
well, I mean, I don't think so, because the issue is the person was actually doing what the prior writing said that the person needed to do. So I think that wouldn't be my explanation. That plus they died for it. Like they had all died gruesome deaths other than John. John escaped his, but
that doesn't necessarily mean that, it's true. It just means that people might have a belief in something, at least be convicted of it.
Oh yeah, people die for things they strongly believe. For instance, William Wallace he died for something he strongly believed in. But Peter and the apostles would have known. They lived with Jesus. They would have slept in the same area Jesus slept in. They ate with him. They lived with the guy. Just like if you have a sibling, that's how much they were around him.
Do you think Joseph Smith knew that he was making? Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. I was just gonna ask if you thought, and that's information that you're getting from the Gospels, right?
Well, the Gospels, that's the information that I have of Jesus of Nazareth and his life. I mean, I have other information about his crucifixion and his death outside of the Gospel.
Right, but what other sources of information do you have about his life besides the Gospels?
I mean, you have Cestius, I believe his name is. He's the one that...
about the life of Jesus?
No, not about his life, but he talks about moments. I believe it's Cestius that writes about Jesus. Or no, it was...
What about Suetonius?
Man, I'm trying to think of his name. Cestius is a different guy who wrote about different stuff. It was, yes, I believe Celsus. That's how you pronounce his name.
Well, Celsus.
Celsus. Is it Celsus?
He wrote about. Yeah, he wrote about what the Christians believed.
Well, no, he wrote about Jesus, and because he would read. Yeah, he read their stuff, and he wrote about Jesus being born in a village in Judea, but except Celsus, he actually was extremely hostile against Jesus. He said Mary was an adulterer. He didn't think she was a virgin. But that's more evidence, the fact he's writing about a guy he hated.
What he specifically was saying was that the Christians originally had one gospel, and then they had to write other gospels to try to make it make sense, and they just ended up confusing it more. And then, so we get Contra Celsus from, or Celsus, who is it? Origen? I think.
Yeah.
Contra Celsus.
Origen was being, Celsus was responding to something Origen had written.
Right, but he was just...
Now,
Celsus was just writing... He was just writing about what the Christians were believing, and this was in 166.
So Celsus was what I'm reading. He wrote in 170 AD, and what's interesting is Celsus. He was he was a Greek philosopher. He was extremely hostile against Jesus. He didn't like Christians. He didn't like Jesus. I mean, he accused his mother of being a prostitute. But this is what's interesting. You get all the way up to Celsus, and he's a time after Jesus. Celsus even said that Jesus was a...
What question is being responded to?
Well, I think we're at this point, we're having a conversation. He didn't really ask me anything. He made a statement. I'm responding to a statement.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and move on then. If anybody else has any more questions for this guest, now is the time. I'm kind of done hearing him just declare things that he can't question. It's quite clear this person is not capable of questioning their beliefs and did not come up here in good faith.
I do, if you don't mind. I've got one more quick one, and it's going to be a big old circle back to the beginning of the conversation. You referred to the two different times given in Mark and John, the two different times for the crucifixion, as being Jewish time and on Roman time.
Yeah, so that was one of my explanations, but I conceded that was a bad explanation.
Okay, well, Well, that was regarding the different days. That was your answer to the different days that were given. But I'm specifically talking about the time of day, and so in the 6th hour is the account that's given in John. I'm assuming that that's the one you're saying they're going off of Hebrew time.
Well, I told you earlier, I conceded that you had a good debunking or response to that, but I told you that's not my only. That was one of there's like 4 or 5 of them. So now that reason I know is not a good reason.
Then that's fine. If you're not contesting that, you acknowledge that those are contradictory accounts.
Well, no, I don't acknowledge that, but I acknowledge my reasoning for trying to give a sufficient reason that they're not isn't good, and it would leave it contradictory. But I have other reasons that I think are more sufficient.
Okay, then if I were to tell you, okay, in the Gospel of John, it actually specifically says that he was on trial at noon, and the Gospel of Mark says that he was crucified in the 3rd hour. Okay, so if Mark is given, if they're going off of Roman time, the 3rd hour would be 9 a.m., correct? You would agree with that because Roman time starts at 6 a.m.?
Mm-hmm.
Right, sun up, dawn. That's the 1st hour when the sun rises, and then they start counting the hours of the day. The 3rd hour would be 9 a.m. You agree to that, right? According to Mark, and that's Roman time.
Well, Mark, I think, likely uses Jewish time because their sunrise started at 6 a.m.
Oh, I thought you said John would have been Jewish time because he would have been the Jewish person. You said Mark would have been the Gentile. So why would the Gentile be going off of Jewish time?
Well, I think it would make sense because Peter would have been the author of it. Mark was just somebody who would have sat there and given you.
Okay.
He would have.
So what time did Jewish time start? When did they start counting the hours of the day?
Their sunrise started at 6 in the morning.
Okay, so the 3rd hour would be 9 a.m. according to that, correct?
Yeah, 3rd hour would be 9 a.m. is when crucifixion begins.
Okay, the Gospel of John specifically said he was on trial at noon.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
how is that not a contradiction?
Well, what I'm saying is you have the trial in John is 6 a.m. The crucifixion of Mark is those 9 a.m. But then the darkness begins, like all the
That's
darkness.
not what John says, though. That's not what John says.
John says 6 a.m.
John says he's on trial in court before Pilate at noon. He hasn't even been crucified yet at noon, according to John.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there's the way that both of them are keeping times. It changes that outcome. That's what I'm trying to explain. If it's calling it noon, if that's the word used, it doesn't say in the 6th hour or whatever. It says noon. At noon he was on trial, and Mark says in the 3rd hour, which you already agreed is 9 a.m. Yeah, 3rd hour is 9 a.m. That's when the crucifixion begins.
Right.
And then
so how can he be on trial at noon if he was crucified at 9?
Yeah, I know so I'm saying, okay, Mark would have used Jewish time because Peter was the one that Peter essentially was the author of the book of Mark. Mark just wrote down Peter was telling him. But 9 a.m. crucifixion begins.
Jewish time or not? Was it Jewish noon?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that it was 9 a.m. was crucifixion, but John's gospel, that it was 6 a.m. The trial was before Pilate was 6 a.m. So I don't think
that's not what it says.
Well, I'd have to see what you're saying. What verse is this? I'd have to see it. I mean, I'll look.
John says he was on trial. Okay, we'll look it up. But John says he was on trial at noon. I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, can you just because I don't see if I'm wrong. Give me the verse, and then I'll look up both of them, read them, and then I'll see what's going on here.
If John does say noon and not like the 6th hour, then what are you saying that noon is at 6 a.m.?
Well, you have two very different timekeepings. Like I said, I have to read it. I haven't even looked at this yet and read it. So ultimately, right now, I don't know.
Okay, we're gonna look in John 19.
I just don't see how.
And what's
at any
Mark's?
point in time. I
So,
don't see how
14.
at any point in time noon can be seen as 6 a.m.
It says in verse 14, it was the day of preparation of the Passover. It was about noon. Here is your king, Pilate said to the Jews, but they shouted, take him away, crucify him. So he hasn't been crucified yet. It's noon. It uses the word noon.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
If we're gonna compare it to the account that's given in Mark, this is clearly two different times of day.
Yeah. So I guess now actually looking at this and knowing where this is being said, I guess we see, on the surface, crucified at 9 a.m., the third hour, and he's still on trial at noon in the 6th hour. The way that I think is a sufficient reason for this, now that I'm actually seeing it, would just simply be Mark's using Jewish time because the real author of it, he was just the transcriber, was Peter.
You keep saying this, but I don't think you're understanding the contradiction.
I am.
So I guess we can move on from here.
You're
not really explaining it. You're not. You just keep saying Jewish time, and that's not.
Yeah, but you
won't
let me explain it. You won't let me explain it. I'm trying to explain what I mean.
Is anybody else here interested in this?
So I'm not allowed to explain from my perspective. I just get to say one word,
Explain
Jewish
what?
time, or two words, Jewish time.
Explain what?
Well, when I'm saying Jewish time, I'm always cut off at Jewish time. I'm not getting to give my full explanation. Am I allowed to say it?
Your full explanation of what?
My full explanation of why I'm not coming to the conclusion he's coming to. I don't think that's a contradiction. I've been trying to explain that, but I haven't gotten the opportunity to respond to.
You've said Jewish time.
That's not my explanation.
Jewish time. Oh, so is it related even?
Yeah, it's related, but there's more than that.
How is Jewish time related to one saying 9 a.m. is crucifixion and the other saying that the trial is at noon?
Okay, so that's simple. We've already established Mark was using Jewish time. I think John was using.
You said.
Okay, that's what I said. Yes, I have established that Mark was using Jewish time and John was using Roman time. So the crucifixion, according to Mark, it starts at 6 a.m. So, but actually, 9 a.m. the third hour.
What is noon? What is noon Roman time?
I'm not. I'm trying to give my explanation. I get cut off. Yeah, but I have to start from the beginning whenever I get cut off.
You don't.
Okay, then I'll just jump ahead.
To help us understand, I'm asking a question for clarification. I don't think you've listened. So, is noon Roman time, is that equivalent to 9 a.m. Jewish time? Is that what you're saying? That's the same.
No, one is the third hour, one is the 6th hour. Roman time, noon is the 6th hour, 9 a.m. is the third hour.
3 hours apart.
Yes, and this is what I'm trying to explain. I'm trying to explain something. I keep getting cut off.
In one gospel, the crucifixion begins 3 hours before another gospel says the trial begins.
If you read it on surface level, yes. I've been trying to explain what I mean. It's not about time.
Then what is it that you're actually trying to get to? Why don't you skip to the end? Maybe that'll.
Okay, we'll just skip right to the end then. John and Mark, I believe, are focusing on different moments. So I think that John is talking about the trial and sentencing because John was a more theological work, and then Mark is talking about the actual crucifixion because he was more of a historical work.
So how does that explain why the crucifixion is happening 3 hours before the trial?
Okay. Well, it would explain that. So in the text, I believe that the third hour and the 6th hour, I just believe these are rounded time blocks.
The 6th hour is never used. It's noon. Noon is the word that's used in John.
Yeah, but noon is the 6th hour.
How do you think this is getting you out of this contradiction?
You don't understand I don't think you understand what I'm actually saying.
You're right, I don't.
I understand
Okay,
what
well,
you're saying.
how?
You're saying
how
it
are we
doesn't
gonna-
matter. It doesn't matter that the different times are presented the way they are because the emphasis of the book is different. Whether it's focused on the theological part of it, whether it's focused on whether it's the trial or whether it's that, the different gospels have different purposes and therefore they emphasize different aspects of the story, and it's okay if they get a little fudged here and there. It's approximate. That's what you're saying, right?
No, I don't think there's any fudging at all. That's my whole point. Because look, he said it. Jewish time started.
You said approximates, right?
Yes.
Yes, approximates.
Okay. Look, Jewish time starts at 6 a.m. Right?
Julie,
I am. It's
I
so
think he's
simple.
computing.
I am. Jewish time starts at 6 a.m., the third hour is 9 a.m., and the 6th hour is 12 a.m. Well, Roman time, guess days start at midnight, so the 6th hour is 6 a.m. And so if you put it together...
fucking noon is 6 a.m.?
No, listen, if you put it together, the 6th hour is 6 a.m. Jesus is on trial.
It never says the 6th hour. It never says 6 hours.
But that's what it is in the time. Just look at it.
But why does it say... Why are you just adding this if it doesn't say it?
Okay, hold up a second. It's 12 p.m. Jewish time, the 6th hour.
Why are we
Genesis,
talking
I have
about
one
this?
question.
Guys, this is not difficult
Hang on.
to understand.
Yeah, Genesis, it's not difficult at all to see that they're contradictory time frames.
If you think that's contradicting, then you might be
fascinating display. Hammy,
said
if you've got
approximate.
your question, I know Wildot has a very, very important question to ask.
Yeah,
it's very important.
My question is very quick, and it's: did you do some limbering up for that mental gymnasium you just did?
Well,
What's going on there?
Oh, man, honestly, that was a really good roast by you, man. I think I might have to go tell my 8th grade son I got a new one for him.
Great.
That was embarrassing.
Don't tell him.
I think I will. That was a little bit embarrassing. I'm not gonna lie. You're trying to roast me, and we're a bunch of
You're gonna love Wildot's question.
Okay,
Wildot's got the best question.
I bet he does.
Of the whole day.
Let's hear his
All right.
question.
I got a really good question. It's gonna seem weird, but if you had to choose between strawberry, chocolate, or vanilla ice cream, which would you pick?
What? I already know what this is, so just do what you say. What you're gonna say.
There's no wrong answer.
This
It's literally a question, Genesis.
No, it's not.
It's
Actually,
I've been
yes,
here.
it is.
Okay,
He's been here.
Fine. I
here.
like vanilla ice cream. There. Now say your quirky thing back in return.
Was there a quirky thing?
Yes, I've heard
That was
this.
it.
If
That
he's
was
not
it.
okay, if he's
That's
not
it.
doing something, then
You did great, kid.
unknowingly.
Good job.
Hey, Wildot.
So sad.
And they will crash out. How do you do that?
That is so wild.
Apparently, in order to read this Gospels, you have to look with spiritual eyes, and time is illusion, and fucking noon is before freaking 9 a.m., guys.
But it
I
doesn't
don't
matter
know.
anyways because they're approximates, and the different books are focused on different things.
Which makes all the fucking sense. I don't know. I got
I
ahead.
asked an important question in the comments about this, though. But do you think, like, the big city Romans had to adjust their time to Jewish time while visiting?
They forgot to set their sundials. And honestly, guys, listen, I'm not trying to debate that. That wasn't my point. It was the challenging and questioning the idea that there's no contradictions in the story.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, okay, well, let's question that, like, and just having it being met with such, yeah, it's just fascinating.
Hostility.
Fucking noon is before 9 a.m., Thrayle.
A very important question here. Hey, Hammy, did you have breakfast today?
I did, actually. Breakfast was, breakfast burritos from McDonald's.
I'm not going to shame you for that.
You can shame out. You're like, I'm not going to listen to it anyways.
But if anybody has a belief in a god or gods, a higher power, or anything like that, and you're actually capable of questioning that belief, go ahead and request up. We're not here to debate you. We're not trying to prove you wrong. Nobody's looking to burgle your god. We're just here to see if you can question whatever it is you believe in. And if you can, well then, we might have some questions for you.
I have a question. What kind of car do you have, Wildot?
Well, they haven't delivered it yet, but it's a 2018 Audi.
What the fuck is going on?
It has a few additions to it. I traded my Hyundai off for it, and it goes 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. So it's nice.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time picking up my jaw off the floor right now.
Congratulations, Wildot.
I don't know what that means. Joke's on you, I have no idea what any of that means.
It's a really comfortable and really fast car. That's what it means.
Cool.
So I've been.
Can you send me pictures, please?
When they deliver it, I will send you all the pictures, but I gotta let you know something right now. It's snowing, and we're getting another 7 inches of snow tonight.
Yeah, but you got that quattro, bro.
I'll laugh from my nice warm spot here in Texas.
So,
yeah, you keep that snow up there. It's already spring rain showers here.
So my new V12 needs like a fucking computer, and that's gonna be like $7,000. So that's awesome.
I had to pull out my winter boots again today.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I had to go to Toronto to go look at it and do the paperwork, so I just got home this morning.
How'd you survive Toronto?
I didn't look up. I am terrified of heights and big buildings, so.
And if you are not terrified of questioning your beliefs, then go ahead and request up. We're not here to debate or argue. We just want to know if you can question.
Big way.
I feel like there's like so many weird fucking things that I'm picking up out of like the Gospels. Of like
My question is, Thrayle, like, I've gotten on this live and talked about Jesus, and you're like, you know what I mean? That guy did really good, actually. That was amazing. Yes, I do.
Interesting.
Do you think he did well at questioning his beliefs?
I do.
Do you think he questioned anything?
I think he answered
no.
questions
Whether he questioned or not, yeah, exactly.
If the goal is to question your beliefs, and he doesn't demonstrate
Yeah, I'm gonna stay with your live. I think that.
Just like it, Mindy.
She doesn't actually care. She's probably pretty drunk, too.
Oh, no.
I think that sometimes your lives are one way or the other. So it was nice to hear someone come up and, you know, really know what he was talking about.
I wonder how you managed to get that impression.
That's not my impression. Your lives are great because of what they do. They bring people together to question their beliefs. I think you do a great job of that.
Well, I appreciate that, Mindy, but I wonder how that relates.
I had a question. A long time ago, you said, did you have a question? Not a question.
A long time ago, I offered to let you ask me a question. Is that what you're saying?
So, like, can I ask the question, or you're mad at me?
Nope.
Okay. I wish Genesis. I wish Genesis was still here because I feel like he would have from like both sides of it. Okay, so
I think he understood what both sides of anything was.
You could be right. My thing is paranormal. So, even someone that does believe in Jesus, you can't. What I've seen is paranormal.
What do you mean what you've seen is paranormal?
I mean, where do I start? Like, I've seen apparitions. I've seen stuff move. I've heard things.
An apparition?
It looked like a lady in a gown.
How do you know it was not a lady in a gown?
Because it was very, like, I don't know, what do you mean? Like, transparent type thing.
Scene from a movie.
Jesus Christ. I hope not. Are you kidding me? But it's not just that. Like, okay, so it's my nieces. They're having things moved around. They're hearing noises and everything. And I'm like, their mom just passed away. But I do want to remind them that sometimes these things want to be. They call them friendly spirits because they want to be your loved ones that you miss so much, and you want to get out your Ouija board and you want to do a seance because you want to talk to whatever. They're obviously
Did she cut out for everyone?
Yes.
Think whatever thing that might be. How long do you think till she notices?
she's not muted.
Maybe it says
her audio stopped.
I think her phone died.
maybe Isaiah 53 was coming back to stop people from talking.
The spirit silenced her. Polly.
I still wanted to question the Isaiah 53 thing, but I was like, you know what? No, that's gonna, especially since
Yeah,
Will Dot was,
that would have been a whole thing.
yeah, Will Dot was going down a particular line and questioning, and I definitely did not want to derail Will Dot's questions.
Yeah.
You
It's
literally
okay.
Yes, couldn't. Sorry, silly. I thought I heard a filly.
Yeah. I thought better.
I think when it came to Isaiah 53, we all kind of thought better. Asked questions about it. I always find it funny how people think. Just talking about future events.
They call it a.
They call it perfect tense, but that doesn't, like, it's not. They call it like prophetic.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, they call it prophetic perfect tense language, and it's like that's not a freaking thing. That's an apologetic that was made up about why a supposed prophecy that's referring to the future is spoken in the past tense way. And the entire apologetic is that the reason why it's spoken in past tense language is because somebody is relaying the prophetic dream that they had to somebody else. And that the dream itself happened in the past, and so they use past language. And it's like, that's not how that freaking works. Go ahead.
And then you asked them about you asked them if about if Jesus had an offspring whose days were long, whose days were prolonged,
right?
And they say spiritual offspring. We are all his children.
That one always gets me too. I was over on Shadows Live earlier, and we were talking to a guest, Messiah, and how he was the Messiah, and I was like, "Oh, cool. Which messianic prophecies did he fulfill?" And he didn't have an answer, but he kept insisting that he was the Messiah, and I was like, "Well, if you're gonna say he's a Messiah, you must know which prophecy he fulfilled."
Are you familiar with Sherry, the Coptic Christian?
No, I'm not.
On the app here, she used to go by I think Mary Ann. She has hosts lives like pretty regularly, and she always has Oakdale Curtis around, and like it's that type of apologetics group that's like just bizarre. I'm not trying to be mean, but man, their acrobatics are just bewildering.
That good, huh?
I floated through there earlier and was just kind of observing like a fly on the wall and listening for a little while. I was just like, after about 10-15 minutes of it, I couldn't even do it anymore. I had to scroll on.
I came across Uncle Rory in the wild today.
Oh yeah, he was here yesterday, right?
I can't
I don't know
do
if
the
I've seen
Theo
this.
Curtis thing.
Can I
Yeah. Go ahead.
can I run past y'all what my dad says about prophecy, and you can tell me if you've ever heard it before?
Sure.
Yeah.
So he has a PhD in biblical literature, and he says that the way he understands prophecy is that it's like a picture with a foreground and a midground and a background. And a prophecy can be talking about something immediate and foreshadow something that is in the future that the prophet may have no awareness of.
Dual fulfillment.
Well, my problem with that is, and somebody else can correct me if they got a better understanding, is that whenever it comes to the Bible tells you that the prophecy itself has to fulfill within the lifetime of the prophet, because there's a punishment for being a false prophet. And how can you punish someone for being a false prophet if they've been unalive for 300 years?
Well, it wouldn't be a
There's no way to
problem
punish them.
if the foreground prophecy was fulfilled.
But 9 times out of 10, even the foreground prophecy isn't fulfilled within their lifetime. So, for instance, take Jesus whenever he gave the prophecy of that some of y'all will still be living whenever the Son of Man comes in his Father's kingdom, right? That is a prophecy about the second coming, and it doesn't get fulfilled, regardless of how you want to take it, the foreground or the background.
You mean Paul?
Well, Paul said it too, but Jesus also told 4 of his disciples, "Truly, I tell you, some of you that are standing here today will not taste death." But yeah, Paul is preaching the same apocalyptic language too. That's one of the.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's one of the arguments against second century authorship is why would they intentionally put this apocalyptic language there, a failed prophecy, if you will. And my pushback to that is it's never ever stopped believers from believing. Failed prophecies have never stopped a believer from believing. And it's the perfect marketing tool to grab you in the here and now. They weren't talking about the characters in the book. They were talking about the audience they were speaking to. It'll be in your lives the things going to happen. And they still think it is today.
Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times whenever I brought up this prophecy, how many believers have sat there and found ways to bend over backwards to make it something that hasn't happened yet. And so I say, okay, so then some of the believers are still walking around for the past 2,000 years.
Yeah, I think it's in Mark 27:56. Is that right?
Yep. Wait. That doesn't sound right.
With the zombies still walking around.
The zombies, that'll be Matthew.
It's Matthew.
Matthew's the only one that brings up zombies.
Yeah, that'd be Matthew 27.
Matthew 27:56, right?
Yep.
What's the natural question in my mind to hearing that multitudes of believers of the faithful were raised is where's the record of that in other places? Is
the
there
most common apologetic that I remember hearing is that Matthew's understanding of this is more or less theatrical. That the embellishments that Matthew took upon and, writing this, because of course this is back whenever I was a believer. When Matthew had taken upon writing this, he was being more theatrical with his telling of the events rather than being completely accurate in certain aspects of his telling. Which made sense because that's when they brought in the fact of, the whole entire prophecy that King Herod heard about and wanting to unalive all the children and stuff like that. This is all theatrics, and this is all more of a theatrical telling of events rather than wanting to be strictly accurate for historical reasons. Do you know what I believe now, Philly?
What is that?
That it's a load of rubbish.
Hey, Hanny, if you had to choose between chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry ice cream,
chocolate.
What would you choose, and why would it be chocolate? Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be chocolate. Because I'm a chocoholic. I love me some chocolate.
Vanilla for me.
Although I would be the anarchist who would just sit there and my scoop would contain all three of them. And I'll eat it all.
Yeah, mine would
I wasn't part of the hypothetical.
Oh no, mine would not be chocolate. Mine would be strawberry and vanilla.
Yeah, but it was predetermined for you. We all have free will.
I didn't check that box on my application. Would you like to have free will? I missed that one.
It's like being an organ donor.
I
didn't opt in for that
finished carpenter.
Well, am I allowed to just like to scoop it out of all three? Because I want to. If I'm not allowed, if I had to only pick one, then yeah, it's gonna be chocolate. But if it's like a cosmopolitan type of deal, where they're kind of like mixed with that barrier, then I'd take Neapolitan, cosmopolitan. Same difference.
Totally.
If I had this, totally. It all makes sense. Whenever you squint, tilt your head, and have enough faith. Okay. But yeah, I would just go across the top and grab all three.
That's a verbatim fallacy.
Everlasting, you're not looking at it with spiritual eyes, okay?
Yeah, you didn't opt in to have the spiritual eyes.
Yeah, you didn't opt into the spiritual eyes. But if you have spiritual eyes and can question it, go ahead and request up. Yeah, see, look, don't look at me like that. No, don't. Turn your head back over. There we go.
Silently judging you out loud.
That is like, look. If you look at Thrayle's face and he's looking at me, he is judging the shit out of me right now.
It's the slow turn.
Yeah, the slow turn and everything.
It's a very judgy face.
Well, see,
It is.
with Thrayle looking and my profile picture looking, you should feel very judged.
My favorite face is, and he looks up at his box that's empty, and his mouth just falls all the way open. That's exactly how I hear it in my head too.
Right. Right. I think that I heard the best sermon that I've ever heard in my whole entire life today.
What?
Was it on TikTok?
Yes, it was.
I think I know the pastor that you're referring to because he's been popping up on my feed.
It was a female pastor. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay, never mind. Then it's not the same one.
Say more, Philly.
It was about I can't do it justice. She was talking about the nativity and the Eucharist and how Jesus's body was broken and blood spilled for humanity. But before Jesus's body was broken and blood was spilled, Mary's body was broken and blood was spilled in delivering God into the world. And she talked about the messiness in the embodied nature and how there's no sanitizing the idea of a God incarnate, and how anything that takes away the feminine from the story is missing the point. And so she's talking about it all from the point of view of her perspective of God. But even as someone who had left the faith, it was like, oh, I can shout amen at a few of those points. Yeah. It made me cry. I listened to it twice and I cried twice.
That's really interesting.
Was it more the aspect of feminism in the sermon, or was it the viscera of a God incarnate?
I think it represented so much of what I believed about a God who was for the marginalized and a God who suffered with. A God who entered into so there is the incarnate aspect, but I just made a connection I hadn't made before. You know how Rav will talk about, I don't want to bring up a controversial topic on the panel right now, but like the brutal beauty, maybe you don't know what I'm referencing, and I don't. I've opened a can of worms if I keep going down this path.
Philly, are you able to send it to me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can you do that for me, please?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Brutal beauty.
You don't have to do it right now. I'm just saying that I would like to. I'd like to listen to it.
This concept of brutal. I don't know. I have thoughts, but they're formed well enough to be productive.
That's dangerous.
I have a question for everybody.
It's very
good thoughts.
Sorry, Hammy. Go ahead, Durgon.
Have I ever had a conversation with any of you where you've asked me a source didn't? If I did, I would like to know.